Thanks, that's all for today.
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 Thank you, that's all for today.
Thanks, that's all for today.
Thanks, that's all for today.
Thanks, that's all for today.
Hello and welcome back to Thanks, That's All for Today, a podcast hosted by me, Harriet Mullen. Welcome back to 2021. Well, not welcome back to 2021, but welcome to 2021. May, can you believe, where is this year going? Although I'm not complaining because I was very happy to see the back of 2020, but it's so nice to be back, and have I got some fantastic guests for you this season. So let's kickstart season 2 with an incredible guest. She's a singer, actor, girl band member and MC when required. She was in the original cast of Bend It Like Beckham and can now be found on stage in the West End production of Everybody's Talking About Jamie. Here's Sejal Keshwala. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the next episode of Thanks, That's All for Today with me, your host, Harriet Mullen. And today, I'm fangirling. I've got Sejal Keshwala with me. Hello, Sejal.
Hey.
Hey. I feel like we're actually having a little social catch-up. Do you know what I mean?
You know? Yeah, the sun's out. It's like we're in a coffee shop.
I've got a cup of tea and I'm just chilling. It's because I don't really get out much, not going to lie, for the past year. Haven't got out much. So I feel like I haven't seen you in a few years and we're having a little reunion.
Isn't that mental? A few years.
I was going to say, is that me being dramatic? But I don't.
No, it's not. That's fact.
I don't think I've seen you since, so little anecdote here. I went to the W Hotel one night to watch the Dreamgirls cast do a little acoustic live lounge situation. And who was our fabulous entertainment halfway through, but Devolution, your girl band.
Yes.
I had
that
never.
Wasn't the last time, was it?
Oh no. Was that? Well, I just remember seeing you rap to Nicki Minaj and I was like, go on, girl. It was so great. It was so great. You and Lisa rapping. I love it. We'll talk about the girl band a little bit later. I actually have remembered when the last time was. It was Robin Windsor's last dance.
Yes. And then we were in hospital afterwards having drinks. R.I.P. hospital.
R.I.P. hospital. That is 3 years ago, Sejal.
Oh my gosh.
November. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice to see you after 3 years.
Yeah, you too.
Can't believe that. So I'm going to dive into your credits because I've got to get straight into it because I've got about a full paragraph. I'm in awe of your jobs because these are some jobs that I would just absolutely love to do. Sejal is fantastic singer and actress. Currently Ray and Everybody's Talking About Jamie, West End. But we're waiting. Have you got a date to go back?
We do. 20th of May will be opening if everything keeps on track.
Fantastic. Now, I was really interested to read that you did a BA Hons in music at Newcastle. I'm a fellow music degree girl. I had no idea.
I didn't know that about you either.
Yeah, I went to BIM in Brighton at the Institute of Modern Music and did a degree in music. Yeah, so I found that common ground with you, and I had no idea at all that you did that. And then you went and did an MA at GSA.
Yes.
Fab. I'm glad that was correct because that would have been embarrassing for me. Listen to some of these credits, guys. Honestly, Bend It Like Beckham, West End. Next to this credit, we're going into BV for Kimberly Walsh. Fab. BV, Britain's Got Talent. I mean, these are some of the session jobs that I would just love to do. Co-founder and musical director of Devolution. I love watching them. What was your name before, by the way?
Sapphire Soul.
That was it. I could not remember. So I met you through working with Lisa Marie Holmes, and she said, I'm in this girl band called Sapphire Soul. And I've been in a girl band too, basically said, you're trying to copy your life here. And we were called the Gems. I mean, we're kind of at the same kind of theme.
Listen, great minds.
In 2018, you wrote and sang Light Up the Room for the Superdrug Feel Good Mary Curie campaign.
Yes.
Oh my God, sorry about you.
I know, that was such a random thing that came my way, but it was a really, really cool experience.
Yeah. Are you a songwriter in your spare time? Is this another thing to add to your credits?
Do you know what? It's something I wish I did more. I'll tell you what it is. I can't songwrite on my own. I can't just like sit in my room and come up with something. I need a co-writer. I struggle with lyrics. I feel like I don't have anything to say unless somebody can, question me or spark something in me. So actually with writing for the Superdrug Marie Curie campaign, I was approached and we had a brief, and they wanted to include some of the Marie Curie nurses in the final chorus. And we knew it was for something specific. So because I had a brief and I had a co-writer, it was much easier to write something. Whereas I think if I would love to do my own album one day. Yeah. But I find it very hard to articulate myself. So maybe down the line at some point.
Definitely. So do you come up with melodies? Is that your thing?
Yeah, I think I'm better at, like, I love vocal arranging. I love doing BVs and harmonies and even top line stuff. But it helps if I've just got somebody there to inspire lyrics.
Okay, so shout out lyricists, okay? Sejal,
yes,
your girl for melody. I do know some people, so that is not name dropping. I just mean I just know people who write.
Listen.
I know Tim Rice. Absolutely don't. Okay, so one of the coolest jobs that I think I've heard of, which I know you've done, is the Destiny's Child Reimagine and Fugees, the complete rescore with the Rogue Symphony. Like, how cool. Did you have to audition for that, or was that sort of like somebody you knew that was arranging it?
So do you know what? This is a story of complete blagging. So I'd say it's around like 2017. I was struggling to make money. Before and after I went to drama school, I used to do a lot of office temping, and I had a permanent office job. So kind of, in between kind of acting and singing work, I would always work in an office. And it just got to a year where I just couldn't get any temping work. And I was like, but you know what? I want to be singing full time. But it's so hard to initially make those contacts. Yeah. And I remember I got offered this gig to sing with this like hip hop band at Venn Street Records, which is in Clapham. And like the money wasn't great, but I was like, do you know what? Beggars can't be. Off we go. It was that material I like, it was, the R&B, hip hop, pop stuff. Anyway, so I went and did this gig, and the other vocalist was a rapper, this guy called Johnny Voltic. Check him out. He's amazing. And there was one or two songs in the sets that required me to rap. At that point, I wouldn't have called myself a rapper, but I've always had to do a few on function gigs. Yeah. So I knew like Lauryn Hill, doo-wop, that thing, that kind of stuff. So I did that. And basically at the end of the gig, he was like, I'm doing this Dr. Dre gig with this orchestra. And they kind of do classic hip hop albums that you can't hear anymore live. And he was like, the next one they're doing is Fugees, and we're struggling to find a Lauryn Hill. Like, can I put your name forward? Obviously, I was like, yes, I need all the work. Then basically, the MD called me the next day, and he was like, I hear you're an MC, and I was like, yes, I am. Oh, I just said yes. And then I had to learn every single Lauryn Hill rap on that album, and it is the hardest thing I've ever done, because, not to shade any other rappers out there, but with Lauryn Hill, it's poetry, it's an art, and I don't have her flow. I can give you a bit of your Nicki Minaj's and stuff. Her flow is a lot more theatrical, and so the delivery suits me, whereas with Lauryn Hill I found it so much harder, but I somehow managed it, blagged it, and it went really well. And then they just started hiring me for every gig that they had, basically. So the next one I did was like a Kanye album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Then we did Destiny's Child, which was my fave. Yeah, and then loads after that. But they were so fun, because like people who do function gigs will know, like, as they are your bread and your butter. Like that's how you get by financially. But you do get tired of singing Valerie and Science Hill Delivered.
100%. You play Shake It Off by Taylor Swift?
Oh, no, thank you. No. Well, yes, absolutely, if you pay me. But, and I don't mean this to come across in a big-headed way. You don't always get to use your skills, actually use your skills when you're hired as an actress, or a singer. And I felt like with those gigs, I was using my skills, but I was also being challenged. Yeah, 100%. On the rapping side of stuff, because I'm not a rapper, but I was blagging it. You were an MC though. Yes, now you apparently. Now I am. I felt like a pop star, if I'm completely honest, because the audience would go mad because you've got, at the Kanye show particularly, Kanye fans go in. You'd think that it was Kanye and Nicki Minaj on stage doing Monster. Like the reaction was so amazing. And when we did the Destiny's Child ones, I was like, I feel like an absolute pop star.
Yeah.
That's honestly how I felt.
And that's how a gig should make you feel. What would you like to do with them next? Do you think? What would be the dream?
I think when they first started, the idea was to do albums that you can't hear anymore.
Right.
But then it kind of progressed that they would do more kind of current albums. I think I would like, I don't think they've done a 2-pack, and I would love to hear a 2-pack one. Or I would like something that is a bit more of a general, like 80s, 90s hip hop mix. Do you know what I mean? Giving it a bit of salt and pepper. And,
definitely. Definitely. I would love that. I'd love to see an Ashanti one. Ashanti and Ja Rule. Yes. Imagine. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Except that I used to sing along to Ashanti and Ja Rule when I was like 5, 6, 7. And then I was working out the other day and I put on some of their stuff. My favorite one is Love It When You Look at Me, Baby. I love that one. And I couldn't believe how rude the lyrics are.
Listen, me and my friend were just talking about this yesterday. Like, we had no idea as kids what we were singing.
No, not. I used to sing, what would you do if your son was at home crying all alone? And like literally me and my brother singing it like when we were 7 and 5. Louis' favorite, I think, when he was 5 was Shaggy. It wasn't me. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
No idea. But yeah,
actually, do you know what would be a good one? Sean Paul.
Oh my God, Sean Paul would be insane. Yeah. Oh, because then you've got Blue Cantrell and you've got Beyonce, and I think he did a song with the Saturdays. Okay, so moving away from Sean Paul and back to your long list of credits. Most recently, obviously, you've been cast in the fantastic Lambert Jackson production, streamed online musical, Brooklyn. Amazing. Yes. It was like a full film scale musical. It was absolutely amazing.
It was a movie.
Yeah.
It was a full movie on location. It's been amazing. Like, thank God for Lambert Jackson. They've been really on it with the online content this whole time, providing work for people who have, lost it this year, and props to them.
They've been fantastic, absolutely amazing, and a phenomenal cast you were alongside. Now, how did you go through the audition process for that? Or was that sort of, because I know a lot of you within the cast have done concerts for them, was it sort of, we're going to pull some of our singers and actors together, or did you have to audition?
I didn't know. It wasn't an audition thing. I think it was more a kind of pull people they know. Yeah. I mean, obviously, with the title role of Brooklyn, they probably had Emma in mind from the beginning, because you need somebody who can sing that, and there aren't that many people. With me, my first ever solo gig was in January 2020, and that was with Lambert Jackson. They approached me saying, "Do you want to do a gig at the Other Palace?" And I did, and it was on the 1-year anniversary in January 2021. I kind of reposted my little video from it online. And then kind of a few hours later, I got a call from Jamie Lambert saying, the next kind of thing we're doing is Brooklyn. I don't know if you'd be interested. So, I have worked with them before.
Amazing.
And I'm just thrilled that they hit me up for Brooklyn.
I'm glad you did the post as well. I mean, I'm sure there was more to it, but great that you I mean, I'm sure they already had you in mind, obviously. So we're going to move on and play a little game. First of all, this is called Audition Styles. So I'm going to give you 2 options, and I want you to tell me which one's your fave.
Okay.
Let's start. God, sorry, but that was the most professional I've ever introduced the game before. I've just impressed myself. Normally I over-explain everything. Thanks, hon. 16 bars versus a full song.
16 bars, 100%. Even if it's not been specified, I will never do a cut that is longer than 2 minutes. 2 minutes max.
Really? That's
personally. I always think leave them wanting more. not giving it, that's enough.
Yeah, thanks. That's all for today. 4 minutes 56.
Yeah.
Own arrangement versus sheet music. So I guess that means own arrangement versus original.
For an audition, I'd go with sheet music / original. Own arrangement for a concert, go for it.
Fab. Piano versus backing track.
For the theatre world, piano always. If you're going a bit more in the function world, then you probably can do a backing track.
Monologues versus script.
It depends what it's for.
Yeah.
Usually I would say script, because there's not much work out there that requires you to do big monologues unless you're doing Shakespeare. So I'd probably go for script.
Fabulous. And would you rather, in an audition situation that you've been sent through, all the material, would you rather have more songs to learn or more script?
More script.
More script. Do you prefer to audition to a panel that you know, or a casting director that you know, or complete strangers?
That is a good question. There's pros and cons to both. Sometimes if it's people that you know on the panel, you feel like they'll be a bit more forgiving because they know your skills. So if you're not quite hit something quite right, they can be more forgiving. But also if you know them, there's almost a bit more pressure because you don't want them to think you're shit. Yeah,
definitely. Definitely.
I guess if they don't know you, there's more pressure to wow them in that 5 minutes of having the room. So maybe I'll go with a panel of people I know.
Is it more likely, because you've been working and you've been a dropping actress and singer, you've had a great career. Is it kind of, shall I say that question again, or shall I stop stuttering? Oh my God, I'll say this question again. So obviously I'm not re-recording this question. You've worked so much. Is it rare that you go in and see a panel that you've never met before?
No, that definitely still happens. I'd say I graduated 10 years ago. There are still certain casting directors that I've never been in the room with.
Interesting.
There's a lot of stuff I still don't get seen for. And also it's, I graduated from GSA in 2010 and I booked Bend It Like Beckham, which was my first theatre job, at the end of 2014. And I started it in 2015. Is that right? Yeah. So I didn't work for 4.5 years out of college. Not a single theatre job in 4.5 years. So basically my career has happened in the past 5.5 years.
Wow.
1 year of which has been in a pandemic. So even though I've been out a long time, I only feel like I've started to gain a bit of momentum in the past 2-3 years, if I'm completely honest.
Wow. It's amazing that everybody is so different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like everyone's career is so different.
So different, which is why I always, like, even when I was, in school, I used to sing with the jazz band in Loughborough. And when I was at uni, I used to sing. I've always done function band stuff. So, when I wasn't getting any theatre auditions, I kind of had the music side to push a little bit and like make sure I was always creative and using my skills in that way. But I find it so much easier to make your own work with singing.
Yeah.
And promote yourself as a singer is much easier than to promote yourself as an actor. You can't just put on a play. It's much harder than putting on a concert. You don't sit in your room and do a monologue and then put it online, So sorry, I've completely gone away from the original question, which is I still find that I'm going into audition rooms where I don't know everybody on the panel. And if I haven't met them before, it's probably only once or twice.
Okay. Very interesting. I didn't know that about you. Oh, I've put in brackets to learn / perform. I don't know what that question is. I've got no idea.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. I don't know.
It might come to you in a bit.
It might come to me in a minute. My last question for this game, which is a thrilling game, is do you prefer to perform your own material or sent material?
100% for me, sent material. If you're going in for a particular musical, say, I'm going to take a song, my own pop song or whatever they've asked for, but ultimately it's an established show.
Yeah.
They know what they want, so just give me the material. And that's actually what I liked about Jamie. First round, they sent me material and then I got the job offer.
Wow.
Whereas what can happen is if you take your own material, they might, they're always run behind for time. There's never enough time scheduled. You'll go in, you'll sing something and it might not be quite what they had in mind. And then they might give it, thank you, next.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, if you sing the material, they'll have a clearer idea of if you're right for that part or not.
Totally agree with you. I remember I did an audition that wanted pop, and the publisher was literally like, can you sing Gloria Estefan? And I was thinking, I love Gloria Estefan, but I don't think of her right now when I think about contemporary pop.
Yes, you're so right. And if it's for a new show or a workshop, something that hasn't been put on before, then I understand doing your own material more because they want to see what you bring to the table, because it's going to be a workshop environment. Whereas if you're going in for Wicked, Les Mis, material.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you started obviously in music like me. What made you in your final year or what have you go, I want to go and do an MA at theatre school? Was theatre something you did before uni and you wanted to get back into, or was it recommended to you? How did it come about?
I always knew I wanted to get into theatre, but I think when I finished school, I felt like I wasn't quite ready to go to drama school. And I also, part of me just wanted a bit of the uni experience. I wanted to move away from home. I wanted to go really far away and just have the uni experience. And I think I a little bit had it in my mind that if I do a music degree, I've got it to fall back on if I ever want to be a teacher. I mean, I don't want to be a teacher full time, but I think in my head, I was thinking the smart thing would be to have a plan B. That's kind of what I was thinking. But I knew that, that was never going to happen because actually my music theory isn't that great. I don't, my instrument on my degree was classical voice.
Yeah.
I don't play, I can bash out a chord really badly, but I played the recorder growing up. It is a real instrument. But I feel
like I'm looking in the mirror. This is exactly the same as me.
But I don't play an instrument to even a grade 3 standard. I did grade 1 violin back in the day.
Yeah, I did violin too.
And I did do my grade 5 theory because I did grade 8 singing. And you had to do your grade 5 theory. And I guess it was good. And I did my A-level music. So I guess it was good enough for me to get in, but I had to work at it. But in my mind, I always knew that I wanted to go to drama school.
Yeah. Amazing. Would you recommend an MA for anyone who wanted to get into the arts? Or do you think you could have had the career you have without the MA?
I think it's a very different time now. Because actually, even when I was doing my MA, it was around that time that you had yourself a problem like Maria and the Oliver one. Like it was around that time that those shows were big. So even from me kind of going to uni and then going to drama school and coming out, the industry had changed because all of those TV girls were kind of your stars. And I feel like with that era before me, it really made a difference where you went to drama school. It obviously ebbed and flowed at which ones were the best ones, but it really meant something if you had on your CV GSA or wherever. Not that it didn't mean anything when I graduated, or it doesn't mean anything now. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying the industry has gone through different phases, and that phase that I graduated, I felt like, oh, now it's social media is starting to have more of a presence, and people are going on these TV shows, and what does that mean? And whereas now we've gone into this social media era of Instagram and TikTok
and now you can get people posting on social media and getting experience or jobs or roles from that. Whereas I know what you mean. I certainly, when I was auditioning 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, it was, if you want to work in the industry, you should be going to this school. Whereas because I didn't, I now say to my students, no, you don't have to. It does really help. It really does. And you can have great contacts. You have an agent showcase. But, I think I totally agree with you. It was sort of like where you go defines you and what kind of an actor you are, maybe. You know, if you went to
Yes.
RADA, you were this kind of actor, or Bristol Old Vic,
Yeah.
or Arts Ed. There was like a kind of not rumors about each one, but it was, if you want to go here, you're this type of person.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, it seemed like the only route into becoming a professional performer was to go through a drama school. Whereas
Definitely.
I don't think that's the case now. Is the short answer.
It's fab. Excellent. Love that. I agree. So we're going to play another game now. I would like to talk about rituals or like any superstitions you have with auditions. So strictly, rather than the show, strictly audition only. Do you have like an audition outfit that you go for, or do you dress for the role? Because I have to say, I love your earring collection. Whenever I see you, you've always got fab earrings. Shout out the earrings.
I try to give a nod to the role or the show in some way, but I probably have a few staple pieces that have done the rounds.
Yeah.
Like a classic jumper dress. I love a jumper dress and a boot and a heeled boot.
Love that heeled boot.
And I'll probably just vary the colour depending on what I'm auditioning for. But yeah, I don't think I have one specific thing. I'll try and do a nod to whatever I'm auditioning for.
I feel like the heeled boot is made for a musical theatre audition, don't you?
Yeah.
It is for the musical theatre audition, I swear.
Yeah.
Go to vocal warm-ups.
Yes, I do. I have like one or two saved from like certain singing teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have a couple of things on like Spotify, a couple of like warm-ups on there that I love. It's just finding one that works for you. And then as I'm getting ready, like doing my hair, I will do those.
Okay, rep. Do you have any specific rep that you use for, say, for example, contemporary pop musical or for a legit? She's giving me a smile.
When I tell you that most casting directors have only heard me sing one song, and that song is I'm Out of Love by Anastasia.
Stop it.
That is my audition song.
Honestly, that is one of mine too. I feel like you're just answering as me. Are you the same person?
Yes.
That song is, oh my God, I love it.
I'm not joking. I feel like I left drama school with this rep folder, but most of the time, I think it's also because of I struggle to get seen for certain kind of things. The stuff that I get in the room for more, they always want either a pop rock or something of that vibe in the first audition, which means that most of the time I'm singing the same one or two songs.
Yeah.
If I'm completely honest. I could probably switch that up, but in all honesty, normally in that first round, what they want to hear is the potential of the level of your voice and your performance. So I just think in that sense, I'd rather sell myself the best I can so that when you then hopefully get the material, you can then give them a wider breadth of what you can do.
Definitely. And what a song. I love that song. Such a good song. And also you can like really have fun with it, can't you? Because it's sassy. It's quite confrontational, but it's like
it's hard to not sing it like her. I've had to like really like get out of doing her vowels. Yeah, but it's a vibe.
It is. Now, baby, come on. That's how I.
Yeah, I'm playing that love.
Yeah, so great. Oh, I love it. Do you have anyone that you'd call before or after the audition?
Yes, I always. I usually leave my agent like a voice memo. And I'll normally call like usually Laura. I'll send her like, give her a full debrief afterwards, and she does the same with her auditions to me as well.
Amazing. What about, are you a tell-all or a keep it a secret kind of person?
I'm a tell-all to like one or two bezies, but other than that, I don't know. Actually, I think as I'm getting older, I'm getting a bit more open about stuff because actually, there's a lot of stuff that I don't get seen for. And there's a lot of stuff for people who look like me don't get seen for. So in that sense, we're starting more now to share what we're in for because we want to get in the door more.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it helps when we know that have you been, so I will with certain friends be, they'll message me around and like, this is auditioning. Are you being seen? Or if I get something through, I'll be like, Heba, I'm in for this, try and get in, or, so in that sense, I am becoming more tell-all because I want my friends to be seen and to get jobs, even if I'm not getting them.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
Yeah, and
ridiculous.
it's actually, I think, for people who look like me, it's actually better in TV than it is in theatre. You know, some of these there's never been anybody that looks like me that is of my heritage, South Asian, which, you know, we're the largest minority group in the UK.
Yeah,
by double. There's never been anybody who looks like me, I don't think, in Les Mis or in Wicked. No. You know, we want some female South Asian action.
Yeah, definitely.
In these shows, because the talent is out there.
Oh, definitely.
And it is very, very at snail's pace, starting to get a bit better. But I mean, like a snail's pace. I feel like in this, actually, over the pandemic, I've had a couple of auditions for things that I don't think I ever would have gotten in for before. Now, whether or not I'm actually being considered for those parts is a different question, but I'm starting to get in the door a bit more for certain things, but there's a long way to go still.
I'm really pleased to hear that is the case, because it needs to be happening.
Yeah, and it's not going to change unless we're on posters. Like, as much as it's wonderful to have a few, you know, I don't want to be third turban from the left. I want to be giving it, I dreamed a dream. Here's my face at the front of the theatre.
100%.
You know, that's the only way to make progressive change and to inspire people, is to see our name in lights and our faces on posters.
Definitely, Sejal. I couldn't agree more. So before our last game, I want to chat to you about audition stories. So auditions, I'm sure for you, as you said, you know, you're in the last 5 years since Bend It Like Beckham, you've been, you know, getting more and more roles and things like that, and you've been working a lot more. I just want to ask you, before you talk about audition stories, how does that first sort of audition process for Bend It Like Beckham compare to nowadays? So obviously Brooklyn, you were called by, you know, Lambert Jackson Productions and said, would you come to Brooklyn? What was it like for Bend It Like Beckham?
God, for Bend It, there were so many rounds.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I remember in my first round singing like 2 or 3 songs.
First round? Ooh.
Yeah. I think I might have done Rolling in the Deep, Adele.
Great.
And then I think I did Life of the Party, which was like one of my go-to songs from Wild Party, but I had to do it in an English accent. And I think did I do Anastasia? I can't remember. But then obviously, like, after the second round, it was then Material. But because it was a brand new show, the process was much longer, because they were still navigating like how the covers would work and who's covering who and all of that. But I do remember it was, you know, with all the dance rounds, kill me, which is not for me. It must have been about 6 or 7, I think, for that.
Wow. Is that the most you've ever done for an audition, for a part? Sorry.
Yes, yeah. Whereas with Jamie, I did 1 round and then got it.
Wow, 1 round. Well, they must have known straight away that the part was yours. Amazing. And have you got like an audition story, good, bad, hilarious, whatever you want, surprising, whatever you want to call it, that you can think of?
Oh, God. Do you know what? There was once I was on tour with the play, and I was like up in like, I think it was Bradford maybe. And I had to come down to London for an audition. And there was another girl in the cast who was auditioning as well. So we both got the train down together. And then the auditions ran over. I mean, like an hour and a half over. So we were just waiting to the point where I got in the room, my throat was dry and like my voice had gone. I don't know why. And I sang. I probably sang I'm Out of Love. And I knew the pianist. The pianist was someone who actually I think I knew from Bend It. And so I sang, and literally by the end, I was like, I've got nodules. That's how bad I sounded. You know, to the point where while I was singing, I was like, they'll stop me in a minute. Surely they'll stop me. Whereas what I should have done is just stop myself, which is what I would do now, which I didn't then. But I was like, surely they'll stop me. Surely they'll stop me. They didn't. And I got to the end, and then there was silence. And then this pianist who knows me just went, what happened to you?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And there was another time. Do you know what? Actually, before
poor thing.
Year before last, I auditioned for Sunday in the Park with George, and I was like, "Oh, right, this is great. I love Sondheim. This is the kind of show I would love to do." But so the material that they sent was in a really funny part of my voice. Like, I'm a coloratura soprano, but my mezzo range is really weak. That's always what I've needed to work on. But there's not many musicals that require you to use a top soprano sound. It's normally more this like mezzo, like if anything, a dramatic soprano kind of range, kind of mixed with a more kind of chesty musical theatre resonance. So anyway, I practiced this it was only very short, and I practiced it, and I knew my vocal choices. And again, I went in the room. I know the MD is an MD that I've worked for before. So I was like, I really want him to just think I'm good because it's been a few years. And I walked in, and you know, when you just have an absolute brain fart, and I just sang it. I placed it completely differently to how I practiced it. I don't know why. And I sang it, and it was just like, it was terrible. But what I should have done is laughed and said, I'm so sorry. Can I do that again?
Yeah.
But I didn't. Again, there was just, you know, a bit of a silence. They were like, okay, great, thank you. I think that's what I'm only learning in very recent times, is to speak up and just say, actually, you know, can I do that again? Because most of the time they'll say yes. Whereas I think I've never been confident enough to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you feel like you can't, because it's so alien, isn't it? That experience where you just walk in and you have to sing and you're on display and you know you're being judged, you know, good or bad.
And especially in musical theatre, because it's not like, you know, when I've auditioned for plays, it's a very different experience. You know, you come in, you sit down, they talk to you for 10 minutes, they get to know you, you work on the material. So there are always less rounds when you do a play, because they use the time a bit more efficiently, whereas in musical theatre, you can do 7 rounds and you've not had a conversation with them. So it's often very in and out. So in that moment, you can feel a bit like, you don't know whether to speak up. Whereas now, post-pandemic, now that I'm a bit older and a bit wiser and more confident, I wish I could go back to that audition for somebody in the part and be like, sorry, lol, can I do that again?
I know, it's hindsight, isn't it? So annoying.
Yeah.
It's just in that moment you feel like you can't. It's like school, like you're in front of the head teacher and you're like, I can't speak up. I know.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned a play there, you know, in plays. You obviously classically trained singing wise, and you've done pop musicals, you've done your pop concerts, R&B concerts. If you had to choose between play, legit musical, and contemporary pop musical, what would you choose?
I can't choose. And this is the thing that I struggle with the most, but I strive for, is I don't want to do just one thing. I would be bored if I did just one thing, and I wouldn't be using my skills if I did just one thing. But people try to box you.
Yes.
And that's what I've struggled with. The first thing somebody hears me do, they think that's what I do.
Yep.
So if they hear me sing an R&B song, they think that's what I do, and I don't do anything else. If they've heard me sing classical, they think that's what I do, and I don't do anything else. If they've seen me in a musical, then it's hard to be seen as just an actor as well. And that's ridiculous, but it's the hardest thing, I think, to fight in this industry. And for me, what I want, success to me, is variety. I want variety in life, and I want variety in my work, because I think I have the skills in all of those things. You know, one thing that I really want to do is I want to go into TV. And I'm getting the auditions now, but it's booking those jobs is hard when you've got so much music stuff on your CV. And it's like, why should I take all of that off? Because that's stuff that I've had to work hard for.
Yeah.
I've had to grind for 10 years and not get in the room for 4 of those years. So it's something that I really strive for. I really want to be able to use my skills, and I wouldn't be happy doing just plays for the rest of my life.
No.
I also wouldn't be happy just gigging for the rest of my life.
Definitely.
I want it all. Harriet.
I totally agree with you. I think it's amazing that you've got this, you know, side to you that you can do legit, you can do pop very well, like not just like, oh yeah, you can kind of do both. Like, you're amazing, immaculate R&B riffs, but you can also do legit and not have to do that, you know, R&B style. But then you can go into straight plays and you'd be just as happy not having a song in a show. Do you know what I mean? I think it's amazing that you can do all those 3. That's
part of the reason why I like session singing, because like I'm good at it, because, you know, I do have the music degree background. I'm good, you know, I'm a pretty good sight reader, and I can sing most vocal styles. So when I'm doing session singing, I feel like I'm using my skills. You know, so I don't always need to be singing if I'm telling a story, because I'm flexing those muscles all the time anyway. I just want variety. I just want to use my skills.
Definitely. I feel exactly the same as you. I think we're a lot of the time put into a box, but especially with our training, if you've done music, I mean, part of my course was learning vocal styles. I had to sing Black Dog one day. Is it Black Dog? What's that song? Oh, have I said that wrong? I had to sing. I'll find it and I will send it to you. But also like Metallica one week. And then like Robert Palmer the next week, and then Dusty the next. So I think in the music world, especially when you session sing, which for anyone who doesn't know what session singing is, it's basically where you get hired for your voice and your skill, but there's a brief a lot of the time. It could be backing vocals, like I mentioned, Sejal's done before, or it could be top line writing, or it could be, could you come in and sing this for this advert and we need it in a blues soul style. So you have to be versatile, don't you? And could you sing it like Pink? Oh no, actually, can you sing it more like Ariana? And you've got to understand how other people sing and then turn your voice into that. And fit the brief, which I think is really important. We're going to play one last game before we go called Never Have I Ever.
Oh, okay.
It's not a sordid drinking game version. It is just audition related, obviously. Let's talk about timekeeping. Have you ever been late? Well, you did talk about it earlier with the like running over time, but have you ever been late and been like so stressed?
Yes, I have actually. Yeah. And I've also once got off the tube and like felt fainted. So then I was late to the movement call. That was for Little Shop of Horrors, I think. So yeah, it happens. It happens. It does. And you get so stressed, but
that's why the podcast, I think, is helpful, because everyone thinks they're the only person that's like been late or had this absolute drama, but we all, always happened to all of us. I was late for a dance call once because I couldn't stop weeing. So there you go. Have you ever auditioned for a role that you were like, I am so wrong for this, why have they called me in?
Do you know what? When I got the audition through for Jamie, I was like, I'm not going to get this. The two women who played the part before me are in their 50s. I was like, they're over 20 years older than me. I was like, I'm not right for this. And then I went and then I got the job.
First round
from one audition. So there you go.
Well, and yeah, actually, it's not because you look 50.
Let's hope not. Back in the day, I would go to auditions that I was like, I'm so not right for this. But, you know, I was with a new agent, or it was the first time I was being seen by that casting director. So I would just go, like, I auditioned once for Mamma Mia. I was like, there is nothing about me that is right for Mamma Mia. I can't dance. I enjoy the show to watch it, but it's just not for me in terms of style. I was like, I'm so not right for this. I should not be going up for a part that requires you to dance to an efficient level.
I love that. But if you want grade 1 violin, she's your girl.
I'm your girl.
You're at the MC. Have you ever sacrificed something really important to be at an audition?
I'm so sure I will have. I mean, this wasn't like a sacrifice, but when I was, it was kind of when I was just finishing drama school, kind of the first thing I did was Bernstein's Mass at the South Bank Centre. And everybody in my year was auditioning for it. And basically I'd been we had like a bit of time off, and then we had the auditions. And in that time off, I was in Dubai with my family it was like I think it was my aunt's 50th. So we went on like a girls' trip. And I don't know if you remember, but it's when that ash cloud thing happened. Was it over Iceland?
Yes.
And basically we got stranded in Dubai. Thank God I was with my mum and my family, because Dubai's not the kind of place that you can afford to stay longer than you planned.
Oh, wow.
So basically we had to we were there for an extra at least 4 or 5 days. But I was like, whatever flight comes through first, I'm the first one to go, because auditions had started. And I was like, I need to get back.
Yeah.
So as soon as the flight came through, I came back first on my own.
Oh,
so I didn't make the sacrifice.
Dedication.
But I nearly missed it.
Oh God. And what an excuse though. That's a great excuse. I'm sorry, I'm in Dubai. There's been an ash cloud in Iceland. Nothing I can do.
But it does happen, actually not with me, but with other people. with my friend Hannah Stratton in, actually this was during my Jamie year. We, I had a few days off and we booked to go to Barcelona. And then obviously classic, 2 days before we were going, she got an audition through for that morning and it couldn't be changed. So she had to go to her audition, change her flight and then meet me in Barcelona.
That's
so
the way it is
happen.
though, isn't it? You've got to book a holiday and then you'll get an audition.
100%.
That's
then you
the
have
thing.
to decide if that's but I have had friends who have had to sacrifice weddings and all that sort of stuff.
I went to Bruges last year and literally I was getting ready for dinner on the first night and I had an audition like 2 days later, so I was like, great.
But do you know what I'm hoping? I think you should all change now, because what we've learned is self-taping is sufficient.
Yeah, definitely.
If I'm away, what I'll send you is a safe self-tape. I'll be back in 3 days. See you then.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever been on a panel?
Have I ever been on a panel? Not professionally, but I have like friends who teach at like stage schools and stuff, and gone in and like helped and kind of been on panels in that sense. Or I've been on panels at uni when I was like in the theatre society and I was putting on concerts and stuff, but not like professionally.
I've seen, obviously you've got like your MD credit on Devolution, and you said about vocal arrangements that you like to do. Do you think you'd ever like to do musical directing for a full-scale musical?
No, I'm not good enough.
Oh, don't say that.
No, because like what I'm good at is I could like vocal coach.
Yeah.
But I can't like MD a band. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But you could be like vocal captain. Is that a thing?
Yeah, they don't, and I think they should, because you have a dance captain.
Yeah.
I think they should have vocal captains.
Yeah, because when you're 7 weeks in of a tour and the harmonies start slipping, that's
yeah. So yeah, that's something I think I'd be qualified for. But no way would I be able to MD a band. My music theory isn't good enough, despite my music degree.
Have you ever forgotten lyrics and made them up on the spot in an audition?
Oh my God, I must have, surely. I can't think of a specific time, but I will have. I'm quite good at just making up words on the spot.
Yeah.
Not gobbledygook. I'll say actual words, but it won't make sense.
Yeah.
So actually it's probably not noticeable half the time. Also, I don't pressure myself, especially in the first couple of rounds, to be off book. I would use the music and the script.
Oh, right. Amazing. That's the material that they sent.
Yeah.
Well, Sejal, you've passed with flying colours these 3 games. All I need from you now is just a little piece of advice for anyone listening about, well, to be honest, I've been noting things down. I've been no longer than a 2-minute cut. But if you've got any advice for anyone about maybe coming out of the pandemic into the industry, or about your own experience within the industry.
Gosh, what can I say? I think what I've learned, or what I've started to do in this pandemic, is to reach out to people. You can't expect every MD and every casting director to know who you are. And I don't think there's any shame in contacting people and saying, you're putting on some really great work. I would love to be involved. Here's my website, or here's my spotlight page. I'd be grateful to work with you in the future, or to come and have a meeting or something like that. I don't think there's any shame or anything wrong with doing that, because there are so many of us. You can't expect every MD or every casting director to know who you are. That's my number one. Number 2 is support and research. Like, know what the current climate is. Go and watch things, go and support people, because it's you'll be inspired, but that's also how you meet people, and you don't know what's going to come from that. Definitely. And my final one is, there's power in saying no, and that comes as you the more you work and the more you're around, because I know that's a very different thing when you're new in the industry. Is you want to be taking, in many ways, everything that comes your way. But for me at this point, I know my worth. I won't do certain things for free. I won't just go up for an audition now because there's not been work for a year. I still know the things I will and won't do at this stage in my career, and I'm not afraid to say no, and I'm not afraid to be open with my agent in that way. I think it's really important to have an open conversation with your agent that is about building a career, not just getting jobs.
100%.
You just have to know where you are, at what stage you're at in your career, and what you want to do next. If you are at a point where you're like, do you know what? I've covered a few times now. I don't want to cover anymore. The only way that's going to change is if you start saying no, because otherwise casting directors will know that you are really good in that role and you are reliable in that role, and they won't see you as anything else until you start saying no. So it's knowing where you are, knowing where you want to go next, and then committing to that, because it might take 6 months, it might take 6 years, but if you stick to your guns and persevere, it will eventually happen.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Sejal, for coming on and chatting to me today. I've absolutely loved it. And I'm just loving the fact that you do Anastasia, I'm Out of Love. I love that song. My MC guest. So, Sejal, if you could just do the honours of saying thanks, that's all for today for the outro, I'd be ever so grateful. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, that's all for today.
Amazing. And I'm going to stop recording.